Welcome to Live from the Gardens, a podcast about animals and how to be a convincing animorph. This week, we'll just be talking about the rabbit, which is the main or only real morph we saw in book number 23. Well, it was the only animal we haven't talked about.
There's also like the human woman, but yeah, we talked about those from Live from the Gardens book 8.
Oh, baby, I'm always talking about human women. Am I right? Anyways, the Animorphs number 23, the Discovery? No, what was that one called?
That was called The Pretender.
The Pretender! What if I say you're the never surrender?
The Pretender, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, Pretender.
Those are both songs, yeah.
We both went in very different directions.
We've both bungled this quite badly. It's, book number 23 is the book we talked about last week on our Animorph podcast, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. My name is Mikhail, the host.
And I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Brayden, the bunny.
Uh-oh.
I feel like there was another verb after bunny that you left out.
No, it's the new kind of thing. You know how there's bears and otters? Well, Brayden is a bunny.
No, I'm definitely an otter.
Yeah.
But
If we're talking in gay sex talk, I'm an otter.
I mean, but like, I don't think there is a bunny. Let's make up the new one called Bunny. What would a bunny be? They'd have long ears and big teeth and be very soft.
And be fuzzy all over. And
All
be a bunny.
All right. Executive gavel. We have a couple, well, it's not really fan mail.
Fan mail! Ooh, yeah! Fan mail! Ooh, yeah!
So I tweeted out earlier, as usual, asking for questions about rabbits, and a lot of people showed up. Rabbits are buck wild. I'll give you guys credit for for the stuff you told me, but one piece I wanted to point out specifically, Michael Grant.
No.
He responded by saying rabbits taste like chicken. And followed up by telling us about the fact that he used to be a food reviewer, which I had no idea.
I had no idea. That was so cool.
I've seen a bunch of tweets from him lately. I don't know what exactly started it, but he's been talking about how he, I think it might have been the suicide of Anthony Bourdain got him talking about being in the food industry, and he has some solidarity with those guys.
Yeah, he's a food culture apologist in a way. People like Ramsey and Bourdain being like kind of assholes, but because they work in an industry that breeds assholes, and they're actually like some of the best people from that industry. Let's get to the questions, but thank you everybody. You know who you are. Movie polls, just one mango, some shout outs.
Movie polls.
Classic movie polls. Let's jump into it. Brayden,
yes,
you're up first. First question about rabbits. What type of illness can you contract if you only ate rabbit meat as your protein source?
Jackalope fever, my friend. You are taken over by those itches and shivers and oh so delectable seizure.
Rabbit seizures? Yeah, they call it rabbit seizure, rabbit fever.
You know when, those foot thumps you gotta do when it's just foot seizures? You know Thumper?
Yeah, we know Thumper.
Sure.
Yeah. He's got jackalope fever. You didn't know it, but he's dying.
He got jackalope fever. I think you got like a country song on your hands, Brayden.
The real answer is you can actually get poisoned by the protein, which is kind of a weird thing to think about if you think about it. But so typically, most of your fat, let's say you're eating like an actual healthy diet,
as opposed to what we eat, which is just piles and piles of garbage.
I'm drinking the juice out of a pickled bean jar right now.
Right.
Oh my god, we're monsters.
Let's say that you're eating like more of a what do they call it, paleo diet, where it was like you're just eating foraged foods basically, and you're getting basically all your fat from animals. Now let's say you only ate rabbits. The problem that you would eventually have is that you would actually not be getting nearly enough fat. I had some numbers, which of course I fucking lost, but it showed that rabbits had, like, compared to beef and even chicken and stuff like that, had just an absurdly low level of fat to protein.
Oh, man.
That's because they're not fat. It's all fur. They're just fluffy.
When you, so if you ate just rabbits, you would get protein poisoning. And that question comes from @JustOneMango on Twitter. Thank you.
Nice.
Next question for Tessa. What do rabbits do with their 2 types of feces?
Well, the hard little pellets, the very small ones, they're actually just similar to deer poops. It's just like cellulose that doesn't digest, or wood chips, because rabbits actually eat a lot of wood chips too. What they do is they make it into jewelry and then lacquer it so that they sell it at little bunny farmers markets.
Okay.
And their second type of feces, they hide under the ground in a warm climate and sit on top of it until it hatches into Easter bunnies.
Hot.
True story. When I was hiking with my family and I was young, my little brother, who was maybe 7 or so, came across a little cache of deer eggs. Look, Mom, there's deer eggs.
Oh, hell yeah. The story's going to end so well.
I mean, it ended there. Mom pulled him away from it before he poked at the eggs, but yeah.
They shit out a lot, hey, deer? It's like a big pile of these little nuggets.
It's like that scene in the first Jurassic Park when Jeff Goldblum walks up to it and he's like, "That is one big pile of shit."
I don't think he says that, but that is the feeling.
He does. That's a literal quote. That's the first swear word I ever saw in a movie.
That is one well, that's a big old pile of shit.
That's not how he delivers it.
No, it's super.
He walks up to it, he kind of chews in his cheek, and he's like, "Now that is one big pile of shit."
I feel like Braden's delivery was the delivery that the director got the first time and then had to, like, make him walk it back.
More and more. Like, less and less Goldblum, more and more Michael. Or Malcolm.
Okay.
Ian Malcolm.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so what do they actually do with their 2 types of feces? I mean, first off, do they have 2 different butts that poop out these feces? What's up?
No, it's the same butt. It's actually really interesting. It's a concept or like a phenomenon called, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, cecotrophy. And it says here, it's defined as the normal behavior of rabbits to eat their own feces. However, rabbits have 2 types of shit. So one type of shit is like, I like this, it's called night feces. Sounds like a blood metal band or something. Night feces.
But like a high school one, and that's like the best name they came up with that didn't have the word "cum" in it.
But apparently this is it happens from fermentation in the gut as which is part of obviously the normal digestive system, but it's like the stuff that they're eating is such low level, like, building block material that it's not digesting properly the first time. So it kind of gets concentrated in a way, and then they eat it again after it, like, it almost like it comes out of their body too fast because not enough stuff can come out of it, I guess. So they eat it again, and it's got high levels of vitamin K and B and other stuff, obviously.
So then what do they do with the second type of feces?
The second type of poo is just regular poo. They just shit that out, and it's like garbage, yeah.
It's because they eat a lot of grass and vegetables. Like, that's why a lot of herbivores have multi-chambered stomachs or several stomachs. Like, that's why cows have several stomachs. Is so that so that it can ferment. So that, like, the grass can, like, kind of ferment and they can actually get at the nutrients. Whereas I guess rabbits are too small to have 4 cow stomachs inside them, so instead they eat it twice. It tasted so nice, they wanted to eat it again.
A lot of animals do that, like koalas do that and stuff.
And also, koalas poop in their sleep.
Koalas also have smooth brains. Man, I hope there's a koala episode.
Oh, just wait.
Anyways, that question comes from @ZieglerJaguar on Twitter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Braden, your question is, what dramatic thing do rabbits do when they feel threatened or cornered, or like if you pick them up? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What do they do?
They will go ahead.
They'll write you out of their will.
They will go ahead and act really, really passive aggressive. They will not talk to you. They will not even acknowledge your existence. They will break eye contact, open their phone, and delete your contact.
Oh, damn, right in front of you?
Right in front of you.
It's pretty brutal, right? Like they're looking right at you and they click delete.
They somehow break eye contact, but also look directly at you.
So the real answer is they actually scream. And it's kind of a horrible sound.
Oh, God, I have heard this noise. It's terrible. Can you cut it in for our listeners and scare them?
I will definitely cut it in for our listeners. Can you imagine, like a warren of rabbits, and they're all just like screaming because a wolf is digging into their warren?
It's kind of like the Wilhelm scream. He's just like,
kind of.
Ah! And just, oh my gosh, he's just like, ah!
So that question comes from Gwyn Liniso on Twitter, or at Gwyn Liniso, I should say. So thank you for that. I had linked us in the conversation to a baby rabbit screaming, and she said, no, look up the adults. Because the babies, when they scream, it's sort of just like a really high-pitched squeal. But when the rabbits scream, it sounds like an adult human screaming. It's terrifying.
I have heard reports from people who do hunting and trapping of rabbits that, like, if a trap isn't set correctly and the rabbit gets like half caught and it's struggling to escape and it's just screaming its head off, that it's like bone chilling. It sounds like a baby just screaming.
It's the scream that I imagine Braden makes when he wakes up from his night terrors every night. Okay, who is next? What is the difference, Tessa, between the ears of rabbits from cold climates as opposed to warm climates?
The cold climate rabbits have the longer ears that kind of wrap around their faces. And if you very gently touch those ears, you can crunch them.
Oh, God.
And they're like those little hand warmers that you crunch up that just radiate heat. So what rabbits will do is they'll nibble on their own ears or like kind of step on them with their feet because they're long and hang to the ground. And they'll crunch the little warmers inside the ears. That's actually where the first hand warmers came from, was rabbit ears. And then we figured out a synthetic way of doing it because people realized that rabbits are really cute and they're better for eating and pets than as hand warmers.
Decent answer. The real answer is less cute, unfortunately.
Oh no.
It's not a bad answer, just that answer is extremely cute. So the level of cuteness is inevitably going to drop no matter what it was. In colder climates, rabbits actually have shorter ears because just like bats, I don't know if you guys remember bats where...
It's all them blood vessels.
There's so many blood vessels that is a huge region for heat transfer.
Oh,
so in a colder climate, you want shorter ears because then you're losing less heat as a warm-blooded mammal, right?
The very rare rabbits that live in the Arctic Circle have human ears, but rabbit-sized.
No,
they're horrifying to look at.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started.
And then obviously the opposite being rabbits in warmer climates have
elephant ears,
longer ears. Elephant ears, yeah. It's actually, that's what they use for cell towers because they're such big ears.
I remember learning that now in an episode of Magic School Bus.
Okay, so one other thing I want to say about that, which is pretty cool, is that there's a theory that sound actually has an easier time traveling through cold or less arid air, which I'd never heard before.
Yeah, less moisture to refract off.
Maybe, yeah, that could totally be it. I don't know if that's... I should say the theory is about rabbits. Why warmer climate rabbits have longer ears has something to do with the idea that... Blah, 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 what I just said. Anyways, moving on. Braden.
Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean when a rabbit thumps its hind leg, or legs, both, on the ground?
I'm Thumper, and I like thumping. They're big fans of Bambi, of course.
Oh, hell
Bambi.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or as they call it, Thumper featuring Bambi.
That's what rabbits call it?
Yeah.
Yep, that's what rabbits call... They pretty much relate all cinema through the lens of a rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because there's not a lot of cinema out there that's for rabbits specifically.
You know how there's briefly a rabbit in the Lost TV show?
No.
To rabbits, it's about that.
Everyone else is the others?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The rabbit version of Lost is really just 2 episodes long.
Yeah.
Maybe they think that Lost is like Game of Thrones, where like the main characters at the beginning of the story are not the main characters at the end.
Yeah.
And the rabbits are the ones, and they just never release the last season, which is where the rabbits like take over the
Come
island.
back
Anyways,
and like solve it.
Okay, so when rabbits thump their feet on the ground, it's actually a warning to other rabbits who are in the warren, which is like a sort of undergroundish cave where they all live like as a family. And this thumping, this rhythmic thumping, actually translates to kind of vibration and like low frequency noise in the warren, so they can know a predator is coming.
Oh wow, they must be so pissed off at Thumper then, because he just does that shit for fun or when he's horny.
Yeah, I feel like Disney sometimes latches on to things that are like, oh, what a cute thing that this type of thing is about.
Yeah.
And then when you actually look into it, it's like fucking horrifying. Like we watched Coco recently. And I feel like they really sort of like dance around the concept of like trivializing death in a way that I don't think the Day of the Dead is really about like hokey skeleton boys making their way back.
I have heard that Coco was actually, there's a lot of Mexican people that I heard or read on Twitter reviewing Coco and saying that it was actually very, they felt it was pretty respectful of Mexican culture.
Yeah.
So
I guess the point I'm trying to make is like
the more horrifying thing is that Disney threw lemmings over cliffs to try and perpetuate the myth that lemmings jumped off cliffs to their deaths.
Was that
Disney? Well, the myth was already out there.
They thought that was cute.
Disney distilled things that are like maybe shouldn't be distilled so much. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
anyway.
we're all gonna die, Mikhail, if we don't get over it someday.
Everyone will die, including rabbits.
All rabbits die, but not all of them go to heaven.
And if you need hokey skeleton boys to come on home to get over it, why the hell not, you know?
And the sequel, which is Hokey Universe, a shout out to my video game fans. Anyways, Tessa, what is the rabbit's main mode of defense?
So this one's actually kind of sad because there's a reason rabbits are prey animals, and that's because they're not very good at defense. The rabbit's main mode of defense is Norton antivirus.
Oh, classic slowdown malware shit, man.
God, what are you doing? That doesn't do anything for you.
When I worked at Best Buy, I had to poke my head into like the software section a few times, even though I worked in cameras. Nothing but rabbits. They were all like, so this is going to defend me from predators, right? And it was actually company policy to lie and say yes, even though it wouldn't, because the law doesn't apply to rabbits. We can do whatever we want to those fuckers. It was actually really sad, but I fucking did it anyway.
I mean, don't blame yourself, Brayden. You were working minimum wage in retail. You gotta do what you can to survive. That means sending hundreds of rabbits to their deaths through Norton antivirus? I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I got blood on my hands. I got no remorse. I got blood on my dick because I fucked a corpse.
Oh my god, stop.
The real answer is actually, I was kind of surprised because you have to kind of like put a different lens on the idea of defense, because the answer is the fact that it makes so many babies is actually its main defense.
Well, species-wise, yeah, that makes sense.
Right, and I guess that's the question, right, is like, what did I mean by rabbits? Did I mean as a species or as individuals, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but like also, who's gonna attack someone while they're in the middle of making love?
That's basically Brayden's like whole fetish.
But just Brayden. Nobody else is gonna attack two rabbits who are in love making copies of each other.
Okay, Brayden, last question. What did the Australian government do in 1996 to help fight the overwhelming number of rabbits in Australia? So for some context, there was the classic situation of like, people brought rabbits over because they thought it'd be hoo-hoo funny, or like pets, or some dumb fucking like, we could fix this pest problem but actually make the world a terrible place. And the rabbits went nuts because they didn't have any like predators, or at least not enough predators to keep them in check.
They took the tariffs off rabbit fur.
Oh, it's a deep, like, North American early trade cut.
Okay. For you good North American factoid nerds.
A little economy cut for you. Okay, so the answer is they actually this was a solution that had been proposed but was not officially condoned and encouraged by the government until 1996. But what it was basically we're going to allow people to infect rabbits with something called rabbit hemorrhagic disease virus.
Oh, Jesus Christ, no!
Which I recommend you look it up because it's a pretty, like, fucked up thing.
I recommend you don't, just from what you know of the word hemorrhagic.
Do you know what it is, Tessa?
I'm thinking it just made the rabbits bleed dramatically out of their assholes and their eyes.
So, RHD virus, or whatever you want, RHDV.
Can we just call it the quantum virus? Please.
The quantum rabbit virus.
The quantum rabbit virus.
Yeah. So
rabbits are controllers.
Rabbits with RHD will display fever, squeals, and often coma leading to death within 12 to 36 hours.
Oh my God.
That sounds bad, right? The next sentence in the Wikipedia article is, in less severe cases, rabbits may display uneasiness, excitement, anorexia, swollen eyelids, paralysis, ocular hemorrhages, and my favorite part of this sentence, quote unquote, paddling or loss of skin. Also convulsions. Also a bloody discharge from the nose.
Oh,
They
God.
called losing the skin paddling?
Yeah, that's the worst word in the world, isn't it?
Paddling or loss of skin. Like, what the fuck? Australia.
I'm going to be quite honest with you, Mikhail. I was expecting some dark shit, like sort of a Dead Dog Day sort of deal, but
Yeah.
that was fucking way darker. I mean, I guess it depends on your vision of dark, but, like, you know what I mean.
It's kind of weird, right? Because, like, would you feel bad about wiping out a pond or, like, exclusively wiping out the mosquito eggs on the top of a pond? Because that's basically, like, you're killing the next generation.
They morphed mosquitoes in book 18, and ever since then, I just love the little guys.
Oh, God. Okay. What I'm saying is, it's like leaving rabbits to live would destroy your your environment.
Oh, yeah. No, I get why they had to do it. It's just horrific the way that they did it. Like, don't quantum virus them.
It seems like it could go very wrong. Just like, hey, guys, just give, like, you hate all these rabbits? Give them a virus. Give the virus plenty of room to breed and grow and evolve and
Also
maybe start
that.
transferring to other species.
So you're thinking, like, 28 days later type situation?
I'm not saying it's going to go, like, a big part of, like, viral evolution is, like, learning to keep, not learning, but evolving to keep hosts alive. Because, like, viruses want to be inside of you. They don't want you dead.
Viruses want to be inside of you.
Yeah. It's normally, like, a matter of...
you dead.
When a virus kills, like, a lot of humans or a lot of cows or a lot of bunnies or something, it's usually because it didn't originate in those animals, but through some quirk of evolution has managed to transfer to them. And while it's still present enough in animals that it remains passive in, those animals are in very close proximity to things like humans or rabbits that it'll just straight up kill instantly.
I can't tell, because sometimes when you're talking, Brayden, it's like, wow, is Brayden like a doctor and I don't know about it? Or is Brayden a really good actor and just lying to me right now?
I'm actually both.
Okay, perfect.
He played a doctor in a soap opera, and so that's where he got his medical knowledge from. He's equally good at both things.
It does say pretty specifically that the RHDV affects only rabbits.
I mean, that's what they thought about syphilis.
28 days later. That is not what they thought about syphilis.
Columbus had sex with a llama, and then he got syphilis, and they were like, oh, fuck.
Oh,
let's bleed you out and fix this. What I'm saying is the people don't know shit about science until years later.
What a story, Tessa.
What a story, syphilis. So, wait, is it carried by maybe insects on rabbits then? I mean, maybe I'm just fucking wrong, but...
I think it's rabbits to rabbits, man.
Just through their bone, and it's a rabbit STD.
I guess, yeah, it probably doesn't... It probably has a pretty slow set-on period, and rabbits probably don't have that uncanny valley effect where they see another rabbit with, like, bleeding eyes and go, let's not fuck that.
It just says like urine, feces, respiratory secretions, direct contact with an infected animal or an area that the infected animal has lived.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, but you can't get it as a human.
Let's move on. That's horrifying. Yeah. It's terrible. I've got a question for you two.
No.
Yes.
What a turnaround.
Flipping it around. Okay. So, you're going to have a time limit because I don't want you guys to take too long. But the time limit doesn't start until you start talking.
Why are there so many rules that you just invented for this segment that you're never a part of?
Because that's what I do, Mikhail. I come in, I make all my own rules, and I take it over. That's my Tessa thing. Okay. Braden first, and then Mikhail.
What's the time limit?
Or, Mikhail, do you want to go first?
I don't care at all at this point.
Care at all? I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Braden, in 15 seconds, can you describe to me a binky?
A binky is that blanket that Linus carries around in Charlie Brown. I believe the term originally came from, like, stuffed rabbits called binkies that comforted children.
Aw, that's wholesome. Okay, Mikhail. Time on the clock.
A binky is the sixth toe on a baby's foot, and parents made it up because they were like, big toe, middle toe, and blah, 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 pinky toe, binky toe, just to make kids feel better about it. The end. Nothing to do with rabbits. As usual, Tessa, off topic.
I love it. It's true. It's off topic. No, it's not. Okay, so a rabbit will do a binky when they are extremely happy. And a binky is a little jump with kind of like a half twist, or sometimes they'll like just jump up and flop over on their side, or they'll turn like a full 180 degrees in the air. Basically, when a rabbit binkies, it jumps into the air and twists its head and body in opposite directions, sometimes twice, before falling back to the ground. Oh, this can be done while standing in one place or while running, which is really weird looking, and it's sometimes called the happy bunny dance.
I like that.
Wow. There's also a thing called a half binky, which is just a head flick where they just do the head part and make the ears flop around. If you look up videos of rabbits doing binkies, it's extremely adorable.
It reminds me of like, have you ever seen horses let out for the first time of the summer or whatever?
Yeah,
horses,
it's
cows,
like that.
Yeah. That is very cute.
All right. Well, guess what, Tessa? Wild coincidence, because I also came with an extra question today.
Oh, you fucker.
This
I'm losing control.
It's actually more for Mikhail, and it's also more of a segue. Mikhail, tell us everything you know about rabbit sex.
Ooh, you missed one thing, though. You could have phrased that as a question, and it was totally a statement. Anyways. I thought that was funny. No one else thought. No one's going to think that's funny.
I mean, it was just a... Mikhail, what you said was just a true statement calling Braden out for not making it a question, even though he said it was a question.
I did the same mistake. I merely said a statement. Anyways, whatever. Fuck
yeah, he's just said a statement to make a joke.
Okay, rabbit mating. Rabbit mating, like, is pretty famous, I think, because people are like, you know, rabbits fuck a lot and make a lot of babies. That's like the... What is it? Fuck like rabbits. What's the saying?
Yep, that's the saying. That's the saying. It's fuck like rabbits.
Yeah. Okay. Mating rituals, if we're gonna like start there, pretty stupid. Like they just circle each other or like chase each other. If you guys have ever seen like the basic mammal mating ritual, shout out at me if there's anything cool about it, but it just seems like all mammal mating where basically the chick doesn't really look DTF, but
the guy harasses her until, like, she's ready.
Eventually, she's just like, I'll put it in me. And then it's like, you know what? The next part makes up for it, though, because, okay, it's doggy style, like normal for mammals, but it's really fast. It's like, not the actual act, but the pumping is really fast.
I believe it. Just think of two little fluffy bunnies doing it, and in your mind, it's not like slow motion. It's more like William Tell overture. Like, you know.
But then he'll take breaks.
They take breaks?
They'll take a second and just like pause, and then keep going again.
Okay, and get back into it.
Oh, I'm so close. No, don't. Not yet. I'm not ready.
I think that's what people mean, is that they fuck really fast, and not that humans have a bunch of babies.
True. But since we're talking about sex, and like other than that, it's pretty normal. Like, they fuck, then they break apart and it's over. The crazy part though is the amount of babies that they make. So there was a pretty cool study here by, I want to say it's Dr. Dana Krempel's PhD, which is a good last name. And she basically did a study to see just how many rabbits could you produce. She had a 7-year breakdown, and it was kind of theoretical.
My God.
It was a projection, but it was based off of data she actually gathered from actual rabbits. So it's a pretty good breakdown. So she does a breakdown at every year, but she starts off with 1 female and 1 male. Okay. And then I don't want to say forces them to have sex because they want to have sex, but they're like in an area where they have access to each other every time that they would need to for mating. After 7 years, 184,597,433,860 rabbits produced from those 2 rabbits.
Wait, billion?
Billion, yeah.
Oh, good God.
Jesus Christ.
Well, because like a rabbit can have like 20 babies or so, right, in a litter, and then the babies. This is just me guessing because I'm sure you've got the facts laid out for me in a second, but like those babies are probably ready to mate in like, let's say, a year or less.
Way
so
less.
they can all have like 20 babies. Is it every 6 months? Can they just like bone every 6 months to make babies?
Oh no, they can have sex once a month.
And get pregnant and give birth?
Yeah, and this is
Wait,
based off a
what?
conservative guess of 6 in a litter, when there can be a dozen in a litter, 14 in a litter.
So wait, so a rabbit can get pregnant on like the 2nd of the month and then would give birth and be ready to be pregnant again within a month?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Oh my God!
Give or take, yeah. And then obviously that 184 billion counts in their babies having babies, right?
Yeah. No, yeah. Of course. It just grows exponentially.
But it just goes to show how many predators probably eat rabbits, because if you're producing that much, it's just like disgusting. Like you would be overwhelmed. I mean, Australia was overwhelmed, right? So anyways, I thought that was pretty fascinating.
That is crazy. Because I knew it was a lot, but I had no idea 7 years would do 1 billion.
Oh, almost like, so it's like almost 200 billion, not just 1 billion.
200 billion?
Well, it's 184 billion.
Oh my God, that's more rabbits than Jeff Bezos has money, which is a rare thing.
Nice. Keeping it topical.
Topical humor. Jeff Bezos could pay to kill all the rabbits in the world and still have $400 billion to cry with.
You know what the best part of the study is that it's at a URL, and it's blah, 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 edu.hair/scary.html. Sweet.
I love it.
All right, that's it for rabbits, unless you guys have anything to add, which I don't think you do because we have scraped the bottom of the well. It's time for the hypothetical question of the week.
Hypothetical question of the week.
What kind of job would you try to have if you were stuck as a rabbit? Keep in mind, you have a human brain and it has to be a human job. So it can't be like cleaning out the Warren or something like that. It has to be like banker, astronaut.
I would want to be a programmer or something. My first thought was secretary, because like just the thought of little bunny me on a countertop poking at a keyboard is too cute to imagine. But like rabbits can't talk, so I would be terrible at answering phones. Yeah. But if I was a programmer or even just like data entry, I could just like poke at the keyboard, munch on a little carrot, and poke some more.
Okay.
And I feel like I could actually do it also. I would be a very bad programmer because it would take me forever. But maybe I invent a whole new coding language and call it rabbit.
Interesting. I mean, rabbit could be a little bit more creative maybe, but
I know. I was trying to think, because I don't want to use Python because that's a big snake that's going to eat me. But that's it. That's like literally, and then I know HTML and then C#. I'm like, and JavaScript, and like those are the only programming languages.
There is a language just called Java, and I guess because it's like coffee and rabbits are hyper. I don't know.
I mean, that could work.
There's something there. I think I like the concept of picking a job where you don't have to talk, because I didn't really think about it, but yeah, that would be a real problem.
And also, you can't like lift anything heavy, and most programmers from all of the stereotypes that I know are not required to do any kind of heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. Other than like deep dish pizza from the door to the stereotypes about computer people. Brayden, what's your answer?
Okay. I'd actually be a vegan food blogger.
Oh my god,
that's
that
so
would
good.
You would be so popular.
I would be like something like cute and fluffy bunny boy. Ooh woo. But like the soft boy or something like that, and then I would just tear vegan places down.
Yeah.
Just right down to the fucking ground. Just like, I didn't know it was vegan to fry things in greasy oil just because it wasn't meat oil.
I like the idea that you're just like really, really stringent about your ethics, where it's like, oh, like you didn't use fertilizer or like pesticide. What do you call cutting the grass?
Yeah. You only have to eat the plants that died of natural causes, not ones you pull from the ground yourself.
You eat the most disgusting like meat because it's super old and
just
sick.
The driest shit covered in just like not even vinegar, just like water that's just been left around so long it's sour.
Oh,
Dusty water
fucking
from like
water.
4 weeks ago.
I feel like I would be like I would work at like the public health clinic teaching people about like how to use contraceptives and stuff.
But you can't ironic. Speak. So would you just like go there and just look at them and then like kind of poke a pamphlet towards them?
Yeah.
But that would be so cute.
Just like walk up to one guy, shove him a condom, walk up to another guy, and then keep walking. He doesn't need a condom. You know he's not going to need it.
Yeah. You know he's here because he's got like STDs from some... Well, I was going to go really dark with it, and then I totally changed my mind at the last second, so I'm not going to do
some
that.
Fucking like just junked out rabbit.
Sure, that's a lot less dark.
Some real fucking twitcher.
Okay, next week, we will be talking about the Andalite Chronicles, which is actually, which is kind of a big deal because it is probably my favorite book in the entire series, at least of the books that I've read so far.
And that you remember.
And that I remember, yeah. I'm starting to think that I actually read it before I read Animorphs, and that's what like got me super into it. I can't remember.
It was your one? It was your one that got you in?
It might have been. Next week on the Dork-Bajir Chronicles, we'll be talking about the part 1 of the Andalite Chronicles. And then the following week we'll do part 2, and then next week we'll do part 3. Obviously there won't be a Live from the Gardens after that. You guys can understand why. Because there's no Wikipedia articles about Taxons yet. Am I right?
Michael Grant, big listener to the show. Please get on that. You're the only one with the knowledge.
About Taxons?
I mean,
yeah.
Also Catherine, but like she's very busy right now with her other books that she's writing.
It seems like she's also not as engaged with like Twitter and therefore us. So
I mean, she has mentioned that she's not much of an internet person. So it's fair.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
But let's listen to us talk about ourselves for a bit more. You can find all of our stuff on our podcast page at collectivelegacy.org. And we've also got Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Facebook. We post memes there, and they're great.
And you can go ahead and subscribe to us on iTunes, anywhere else that fine podcasts are distributed, particularly on our network website, collectivelegacy.org.
Thanks, Brayden. For the Animorphs, I've been Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Brayden, the rabbit daddy with 7 billion young.
This has been Live from the Gardens, a podcast about how to be a convincing Animorph. We'd like to offer a giant thank you to patrons Spencer and A Heap of Games for their contribution this month. Remember, if you want to make all your friends jealous and have your name read out on a podcast, head on over to patreon.com/Dork-Bajir. That's patreon.com/DORKBAJIR. Are you tired of sitting in silence, staring at walls?
Do your ears yearn for something more than the sound of your life passing you by?
Try Inadmissible, a podcast designed by a leading team of experts in the field of excitementology and non-boringness.
On Inadmissible, you'll hear Quinn and Mikhail, two of our bleeding-edge analysts, break down and rebuild the worst ads you've ever had the misfortune to experience.
Listen in as they tear apart lackluster emotional tactics.
Gather around as they explain why you shouldn't make your product look like a steaming pile of garbage.
Poop jokes.
All this and more on Inadmissible, a podcast about terrible advertising. For more details, visit collectivelegacy.org.
Inadmissible should not be consumed if you are easily offended or your tolerance for immaturity is lower than that of a 6-year-old child. Inadmissible may cause fits of laughter so intense your lungs may suffer from burst blood vessels. Consult your doctor before listening to Inadmissible.
Inadmissible, a podcast about terrible ads. Brought to you by
Collective Legacy,
a podcast network.